Hey, it's Rob, and welcome back to Axel's Garage. Down here in the shop, this is our third session with the Carcano refurb that we're doing. So we let the lower trigger guard assembly there soak in the ultrasonic overnight, not running, just soaking in the solution, along with the bolt is soaking as well, and the end of the buttstock is soaking as well. So I just turned it back on, and I'm going to run it while I'm doing some other stuff, and then we'll clean them off and see how they came out. A little weird on that lower trigger guard. I don't know if you caught it in the last video, but we'll look at it again a little bit later. In the meantime, I want to try to get some work done on the stock. So let me pull that out of the stand and show you where we're at. So the stock had a chance to dry overnight. Still a little discoloration down here, but it seems to look pretty good. It might have lightened up just a touch, which I don't know if I like or not. But what we're going to do now is we're going to try and give it another little clean with some oil soap. I've never used oil soap before. My mom used to use it on wood furniture, so I'm going to pour a little water in a cup, and I'm going to add some, sort of like a 50-50 mix of water and this oil soap. And I got some lint-free rags and a toothbrush, and I'm gonna mix this up now. I remember this smell, that's for sure. A lot of people don't use it because they don't like the smell. My mother hates the smell, but she still used it over the years. She's 94 now, and she used to use the oil soap on everything. So I'm going to give this a good scrub down with the oil soap, and then I'll be right back with you. So after a thorough scrub with the toothbrush and the oil soap, you could see on my rag that I'm still getting a lot of dirty residue off. So I am going to now, let me take a clean rag and see what a hand rub does. See, now that's coming pretty clean there. So I think this oil soap does the trick. I probably could have started with this and not have to use the that other stuff that I was using, the sprayway. All right, I'm going to give it a one more down with the oil soap. Be right back. See, after two good scrubs with the oil soap, now I realize it is dark because it's wet and it's going to lighten up a lot, which we'll talk about that in a minute. But overall, it's clean. Rag is fairly clean. Wiping it down, the little front sight piece is clean as well. What I'm not crazy about is how light it was when we started. When it was dry, you saw that it got really light from cleaning it. I think it's supposed to be darker. It's supposed to be how dark it is when it's wet. And you know, we didn't sand it, we just steel wooled it to smooth it out. Cleaned it really good. So let me see when it thoroughly dries. I'll give it a day or two, at least a day, if not 2 or 3, or who knows what'll happen. But we'll let it thoroughly dry and see what the color is. I do have a hand rub poly that I was going to put on it, and I'm thinking now that we might have to put a really light stain just to darken it a little bit and get it uniform, because it is a little blotchy. But let's see what happens when it dries. I don't know where I'm going with this. So in the meantime, we want to pull out the parts that we have in the tank, and we'll get them cleaned up. So these parts here got a good soak. And that bolt's looking pretty good. This is unbelievable. I'm actually, it's almost too clean. So is this piece here. Wow, that came out real clean as well. So this solution is still good. I'm gonna stick it back up. I was gonna pour it into here, but I'll stick it back up in the tank. All right, so now we have our pieces here. I'm wondering if these were ever blued. This loosened up nice. Now it opens up with no problem. It's actually too loose now. Where it flops around, the spring doesn't put enough pressure on it after all these years. Man, that was like impossible to move prior to putting it in. I had to pry it to get this to move on the spring here. See, there's a flat spring bar that is supposed to hold this shut, and the spring's moving up and down ever so slightly, but this came out spotless, really. My concern with this is if it was blued, simple green and citric acid should not be able to take the bluing off if it was blued, properly. So I'm wondering if these were painted parts, because I have found that the simple green and the ultrasonic will take off paint. It's not designed to take off paint. You really don't intend it to take off paint, but it does remove old crappy adhering paint, usually old paint. And what I'm doing now is I'm just using the Sprayway general purpose cleaner. You could use even the Sprayway glass cleaner. I'm a big fan of the Sprayway products. They're not a sponsor. If they'd love to sponsor me, hey, Sprayway, send me some stuff. But just to get any of the simple green residue off, that came out pretty nice. I'm going to set that to the side. Got to make a spot for my parts here. This bottom piece, you could see the rust that we had from the last video when I took it out has completely changed, which I didn't expect. I mean, it's still rough, but the rust is gone. I didn't expect this to get rid of rust, but apparently it does. So now what I just want to do is I just want to spray it down to get the residue off, and I'm going to let that sit for a couple seconds while I turn my air compressor on so that we can get some compressed air going so I can blow it out nice. Alright, so now this piece here, it looked blued to me, but it could have very easily been painted just like the end of the buttstock. I don't know. I can't see if it was blued, all the bluing coming off. It just doesn't make sense for it all to come off. It just doesn't compute. So I don't know if this was a painted part or if the bluing that they used was just that lousy that it would have allowed it all to come off like that. I don't know. I was moving this piece back and forth off camera, and a piece of spring came out. So it appears that the spring has disintegrated, or is at least broken. have to try and see if I can get that out. Oh yeah, screw comes out nice and easy. This piece comes out nice and easy. Oh wow. So it looks like the spring is broken. There's a piece even in there still. Alright, didn't want that. Here's the spring. See if I put it up next to a next to the towel, you can see it better. So here's the first piece that came out. And it looks like it's twisted in and around itself. Oh, no, here's the first piece. So here's the first piece that came out. That was the piece that was left in there. And this is the rest of the spring. So this spring seems like it should be this long. And one more piece. So we're going to have to try to source a spring. I don't know where I'm going to find one of those, but definitely going to need a spring there. This is nice and clean. This is nice and clean. And like I said, this we can now give one last I guess, you know what, hang on. If that one came out that easy, let's see if this one comes out just as easy. No. Alright, so we're leaving that front one. So I'm going to spray this down good and I'm going to blow it out and make sure it's nice and dry. Alright, so I blew it out good. I'm really not overly concerned about the spring. The spring needs to be that diameter and just sit in there about a ½ inch long. It looks like just a regular little coil spring. So I should be able to, if I can't find one that's actually the right spring, I should be able to find something close enough that will work. I am going to put this screw back in so I don't lose it. And now we're going to move on to this bolt, which is still dirty. It's just got a residue on it that has not come off yet. So I am going to put this back in the ultrasonic before I take it apart. I want to try to Google around before I take this apart because I don't need anything exploding on me. But then again, how do we learn? Learn by doing it. So looks like about one thread down. Guess I can count the revolutions. That's 1, 10, about 10. So about 10 turns, and I was seeing one thread protruding through, but you could see it didn't really get in there. Didn't really clean in there. No moving parts in there. This down. Oop, and there's the spring. And it catches there. How does, oh, there's another one all the way over. Oh, there it is. There's like a little keyway inside. You see where in its normal rotation like that, but then there's a little keyway there, and it comes all the way out. Okay, so now that's empty. Here's the whole mechanism. Well, over here we have the trigger assembly. and there's no way we're going to get this clean without getting this trigger assembly out. So looks like this pin, I'm going to hold it in. Alright, there's the pin. Okay, and that's how it came out. So once I pulled the pin out, it came right out the bottom. So this piece comes off. Trigger moves just like that. That's pinned and staked over, so I'm not going to worry about that. So that can all get cleaned. And I got a spring. And this spring is very similar. Smaller diameter. So this is a little fatter spring. Alright. This spring feels good. I'm going to leave that spring over there. Let's see if this comes out. This does come out. Okay. Alright, so I'm pretty confident that nothing is broken there and I could get that back together. So I'm going to put that down on this end, and that's going to go in the ultrasonic for a little massage bath. Alright, so I'm going to take my bag of Simple Green citric acid mix, and I'm going to drop in the trigger assembly, the little trigger parts, and all the bolt parts. Alright, just like that. Slide it back in. So that's it. I got the ultrasonic going with the rest of those parts in there. I have my broken spring over there and all my clean parts. The stock is drying on the rack, getting real light. Let me know what you think. Can I find a spring, or should I just try a hardware spring, or should I look through some of my parts and see if I can find a similar spring? I think just any similar coil spring will work. Should I put a real light stain on there just to darken it up a little bit? What do you think? The hand rub poly is going to darken it up. I don't want to put the hand rub poly and then I can't put the stain on it after that. Let me know what you think there. And the only thing now that I don't know what to do with is that trigger guard, the end of the butt. If I can't imagine that it was blued and all the bluing came off, so I'm gonna think it either wasn't blued or it was painted. Should I paint it? Should I just put a dusting of like a flat or a satin black on it? And what should I do about the rust on the bayonet and on the outside of the barrel? Do I use a Vapo Rust and see what that does to it? I'm not looking to re-blue the barrel. I just want to clean it up and make it look decent, you know, so that it'll function just once or twice, and then it's going to go on display in the house here. So let me know what you think. That's it today from Axel's Garage, and as always, thanks for watching.